You just got your ukulele all set up, you're in tune, you're ready to play songs, you go to sit down and read a chord diagram. How the heck do you read this thing? I'm gonna show you. Let's do it. Ukulele wine time. Welcome back to Ukulele Wine Time. My name is Kathryn. Today we're talking chord diagrams, how to read them. So before we can jump into reading chord diagrams, we have to know a few very essential, important pieces of information. Number one, we need finger numbers. And number two, we need to know frets on the ukulele. So let's start with finger numbers. So we've got 5 fingers. This is my left hand, which is going to go on the fretboard to play my chords. Thumb, you're amazing, awesome, I see you. Don't get a number here, sorry thumb. But we do have 1, 2, 3, 4. So point your fingers 1, and then up, counting up to pinky for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So important to know which finger goes on which string to create a chord on the ukulele. Okay, now that we know our finger numbers, let's talk frets for just a moment. This might be a review. So frets on the ukulele start at the top here, 1st fret, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. That's where a dot is there, and so forth. Okay, all the way to the end. And when you're playing on a fret, we're talking about actually the space between these fret bars here. So this is the net, this is the fret bar. You're actually playing on the space between with your fingertips, not pads. Okay, so if I say first finger, first fret of our bottom string. Oh, let's talk strings. That's what that would look like. So strings, we've got 4 strings on the ukulele. So we've got starting from the top down, if you're holding your ukulele with your left hand, strumming with your right hand, standard tuning, G, C, E, A. So it's top down starting at your face, closest to your face is your G string, G, C, E, A. Top to bottom. Another way to name or label the strings is to go from the bottom up when you're holding the ukulele, 1, 2, 3, 4. So from the ground up, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got finger numbers. We know how to count our frets. We know our strings now, either by the letter names, G, C, E, A, or the string numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can jump in and start reading chord diagrams. Whew, that was a lot of talking. I'm gonna take a sip of wine. Cheers to you if you're joining me with a glass of wine. Cheers to you if you're not. Chord diagrams. Okay. So when you look at a chord diagram, basically it's just showing you a little snapshot of the fretboard of your ukulele and where to place your fingers. If right now it just looks like a sea of lines and dots, I'm gonna help clear that up for you. So let's get started with a C chord, and I'm gonna put this on the screen for you. So when you see a chord diagram, it's as if you're looking at your ukulele. So you can look at the chord diagram, compare it next to your ukulele, and it's showing you where to place a finger on which string. So it's kind of like a secret code. You're like, okay, I need to play a C chord, for example, I need to push down where that little dot is telling me. So note about the dots. Many chord diagrams will just have a black dot, or whatever color the dot is, most likely black. As a beginner, it's great to look for chord diagrams that have the finger number on there as well. So it might have a 3. So for example, for our C chord, like in our example here. The reason this is important, because if you start learning chords without finger numbers and you get used to playing your C chord or any chord in just kind of a different way, it's going to set you up later to not be able to transition between chords as easily. So you might learn C chord with like a different finger. Maybe you're like, oh, I'll start it with my pointer finger. Then when you go to jump to another chord, you're gonna have to work harder. Here's our C chord diagram. So we see a little black dot on the 3rd fret, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And so then we know when we're looking at that picture, it's as if we're looking straight on at your ukulele. Okay. So then you know that it's that bottom string, so your first string, or your G, C, E, your A string. And I've got a 3 there for you, so you know you're playing it with the 1, 2, 3 with your 3rd finger. 1, 2, 3, 3rd fret. Okay, so that's what the C chord diagram is telling you that it wants to play a nice C chord. So try that out. See how that sounds. If it sounds like crap, make sure you're in tune. Okay, so there's our C chord. Let's try another one. Let's try another 1-finger chord. So what I mean by that is just I have to push down 1 string with 1 finger on the ukulele. A note about string names versus chord names. They're both letter names. A string name or just a note name is a single pitch. So for example, my G string is just a G. It's just a single note. If I'm playing a G chord, it's going to have more than 1 note. So a note is a single pitch, and then a chord is made up of more than 1 note. Okay, let's keep going. So we did our C chord. Let's look at another 1-finger chord. So we're going to jump to an A minor chord. Again, I've got this on screen for you. So it's as if you're looking straight on at your ukulele. So you can do that if that's helpful, to put that right next to the chord diagram. So this is saying that we need our 2nd finger, 1, 2, your middle finger on the 2nd fret, 1, 2. And now the fret numbers aren't on the chord diagram. You're just going to have to look there. So it's okay. It's not in the first space. The dot's in the 2nd space. So you can line that up. And then it's on the G string or the 4th string, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, mysterious. So there is your A minor chord. And a little tip here, you want to play with your fingertips and push all the way down to the wood. Okay, on the fret. Okay, so that's our A minor chord. Check this out. The reason this is important, we're going to jump to a 2-finger chord, and that we're going to jump to an F chord. So the reason it's important to kind of have a universal way of playing these chords is so that if you're just reading a black dot and you don't know which finger to play it with, you might play it with like your 3rd finger, or you're like, oh, maybe I'll play it with my 1st finger. Then remember I mentioned working harder? We don't want that. We want it nice and easy, transition between chords. You could just strum and be happy and learn lots of songs. So I'm going to have to jump way over here for an F chord, whereas if I play my 2nd finger on 2nd fret, all I have to do to play an F chord is just put down 1 more finger. So that finger stays frozen there. And now I can put my 1st finger, 1st fret, and it's showing me in the chord diagram which string to play it on for my F chord. I feel like that was a lot. Let's take a sip of wine or coffee or tea or whatever you got. Let that sink in for a second. Okay, so in conclusion, the finger numbers you see in the chord diagrams, those are important, so don't ignore those. We're going to take a look at one more chord diagram today, and that's a G chord. So this is a 3-finger chord. And actually, these 4 chords that I'm showing you today, C, we did A minor, F, and then G. If you get these 4 chords down, you're going to be able to play like zillions of songs. So this is actually a great starting place on the ukulele. So let's take a look at this 3-finger chord. Ooh, okay. So this is where it gets tricky. This is probably the toughest beginner chord on the ukulele. So we need 3 fingers pushing down on the fretboard. Okay, so we're gonna match up with our chord diagram over here. Let's break it down a little bit. So this is where, number 1, the finger numbers are super helpful. Otherwise, you could get into all sorts of trouble here. So if you didn't have the finger numbers, so I have a student that learned her G chord, switched fingers. It feels so weird to actually do that. But she learned it the opposite way, and it's been really tough for her to unlearn that. So learning the finger numbers and the kind of the proper way to play these chords up front is just super important. It's going to save you a whole lot of headache later. So you'll hear me say this a lot. We'll start with peace sign fingers. Peace, peace, please. So we're going to use, that's our 2nd and our 3rd finger on the 1, 2, 2nd fret. We're going to follow our chord diagram. Okay, so it's showing me that our 1st finger is going to go on this string here, my C string or my 3rd string, 1, 2, 3. Skip a string in the middle, and then my 2nd finger or my middle finger is going to go on the same fret. So these are making a line that way, or it looks like this. Okay. So that's all on the 2nd fret. So that shape is there. And then once you've got that down, it makes it nice and easy to come and put your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, 1, 2, 3, 3rd finger, 1, 2, 3. And you might see it makes a little triangle on the fretboard. So these shapes are going to start feeling familiar and comfortable to you. So take a second, line that up with the chord diagram. Okay. There's our G chord. Ooh, nice job. So we've got finger numbers. Check. You got that. You got frets on the ukulele. You know how to find those. You now know how to line up, how to look at your ukulele, look at the chord diagram. Okay, so you know that those are the strings that coincide with the chord diagram and with your ukulele. And you know that those particular finger numbers are super important, and they're going to save you a lot of work in the long run. So if you are finding chord diagrams that aren't showing those, maybe try to find some that are, such as all of the chord diagrams on Ukulele Wine Time. Woohoo! So I try to make it really easy, really friendly for beginners to set you up so you can start playing songs right away. On that note, let's play some songs together. If you found this video helpful, please cheers the like button below. I hope you subscribe to my channel for more ukulele fun, more wine time, more ukulele wine time. See you soon. Ukulele wine time.